The text came early in the morning, casual and careless, as if she were announcing a grocery run instead of disappearing for a week. I'm in Vegas for a week. No explanation, no check-in, no concern for how it might sound to the person she married. I stared at the message longer than I expected, not because I was shocked, but because everything suddenly made sense. Vegas wasn't new. The distance wasn't new. The late nights and emotional absence hadn't started yesterday. This text was simply the moment she stopped pretending. I didn't ask who she was with. I didn't ask why she hadn't told me earlier. I already knew. Sometimes your gut finishes sentences before your mind catches up. I typed my reply slowly, deliberately, without emotion clouding my judgment. Have fun with him. The divorce papers are ready. Then I turned my phone off and blocked her everywhere. Blocking her wasn't an act of anger. It was an act of self-respect. For months, I had waited for honesty, convincing myself that patience was loyalty. But patience without boundaries turns into permission. I had already spoken to a lawyer weeks earlier, quietly preparing for a future I hoped I wouldn't need. Evidence had a way of finding me without effort. Messages sent too late. Stories that didn't add up. Affection that felt borrowed instead of genuine. Her biggest text was simply the final confirmation. I printed the divorce papers, signed where needed, and placed them neatly on the table. The house felt different that day, lighter, quieter, resolved. I didn't pace or panic. I made coffee, sat down, and accepted that the marriage had ended long before she boarded that plane. Blocking her wasn't running away. It was choosing peace over chaos. Hours passed without noise or interruption. No calls, no messages, no emotional back and forth. I knew she would panic once she realized she couldn't reach me. People who are used to control don't handle silence well. I imagined her trying different apps, different numbers, refreshing her phone between casino lights and hotel mirrors. But I stayed unreachable. Silence has a purpose. It forces people to face themselves. That evening, as the sun dipped low, a knock echoed through the house. It was firm, urgent, and unexpected. When I opened the door, I didn't see my wife. I saw her sister standing there, breathless, eyes wide with concern. She looked at me like she was staring at a disaster she had just been assigned to clean up. That's when I knew my message had landed exactly as intended. Her sister didn't waste time. She asked what was going on, why her calls weren't going through, why my wife was hysterical. I stepped aside and let her in without a word. She noticed the papers on the table immediately. Her expression shifted from confusion to realization. I told her calmly that I had replied honestly to an honest message and then I chose to disconnect. She tried to defend her sister at first, saying it was just a trip, just Vegas, just stress. I listened patiently, then explained that marriage doesn't survive on just anything. Trust doesn't erode overnight. It disappears slowly, decision by decision. I told her this wasn't sudden. It was simply no longer hidden. She sat down, realizing she wasn't there to negotiate. She was there to witness the end of something already finished. She asked if there was any chance of talking things through. I shook my head gently. I explained that conversations are meant to prevent damage, not excuse it. Afterward, my wife hadn't asked if I was okay with the trip. She had announced it. That difference mattered. Her sister sighed, finally seeing the situation clearly. She admitted quietly that this wasn't the first time she had worried about her sister's behavior. That admission confirmed what I already knew. When even family stops defending someone fully, the truth isn't far behind. I told her I didn't hate my wife, but I refused to keep sacrificing my dignity to protect her comfort. The divorce papers weren't a threat. They were a boundary, a final one. Her sister stayed only a few minutes longer, saying she would talk to her, try to calm her down. I thanked her, not because I needed her help, but because she had shown up honestly. When she left, the house returned to silence. I didn't unblock my wife. I didn't check social media. I didn't wait for updates. I had already chosen my direction. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in months. There were no unanswered questions left to chase. The peace felt unfamiliar, but real. Sometimes closure doesn't come from conversation. It comes from decision. I had stopped waiting for explanations that would never satisfy me. I had stopped hoping for accountability that might never arrive. The next days passed quietly. Legal steps moved forward. Arrangements were made. I didn't rush or delay anything. My wife eventually found other ways to reach out through people we knew. But I stayed consistent. Consistency is powerful when emotions run high. Friends asked if I was okay. I told them the truth. I was better than okay. I was finally aligned with reality. Losing someone who no longer respects you isn't loss. It's release. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clear. That clarity was something no argument, apology, or promise could have given me. It only came when I stopped engaging with behavior that hurt me. Looking back, that Vegas text wasn't an insult. It was a gift. It stripped away ambiguity and forced honesty without drama. Blocking her everywhere wasn't cruelty. It was self-preservation. And her sister showing up wasn't a coincidence. It was proof that consequences ripple outward, touching everyone involved. I learned that love without boundaries turns into tolerance, and tolerance eventually becomes regret. Ending things decisively saved me from years of quiet resentment. I didn't chase her, confront her, or beg her to stay. I simply accepted what she showed me and acted accordingly. And sometimes the moment you block someone everywhere is the moment you finally reconnect with yourself.